Hello, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to the Discriminating Gamer. Boy, I'll tell you, it's cold out there.
How cold is it?
It's so cold, I saw Ferengi with his hands in his own pockets. Ladies and gentlemen, today we're going to go ahead and take a look at Star Trek Away Missions, House of Duras, Klingon expansion from Gale Force 9.
We'll get back to the review in just a moment. I want to take a minute to ask you to check out my other channel, that is Cody Carlson PhD, where we talk about history, books on history, military history. I even post some of my lectures for my classes on there. Please check that out. Please subscribe to that channel. And now, back to the review.
Star Trek Away Missions, House of Duras, Klingon expansion from Gale Force 9, adds a new faction to your game of Star Trek Away Missions. Now, here you have the Klingons. Now, we've seen them before in the Chancellor Gowron expansion, but here we've got the Duras sisters, Lursa and B'Etor. They're scheming to find a way to get back into power in the Klingon Empire, and they think they might have found the key at Wolf 359. So in some ways, the faction is very similar to the Gowron expansion. Of course, you've got Klingons. Here you got 5 Klingon figures, whereas in that one you only had 4. But here, critically, we have a new keyword, treachery, and new cards that are associated with treachery. Because after all, the Duras sisters were Klingons, but they kind of acted like Romulans. You know what I'm talking about. So they've got different cards that trigger off of treachery and different ways they can score treachery. And also, too, like the other one, you do still have honor, and some of the ways in which honor and treachery interact are here. For instance, the main scoring card, if you have at the end of the game, none of your characters with treachery have been neutralized, and they have honor, you can go ahead, you can score that card. There's also an arms supply deal where you can put weapons on that card in hopes of scoring that. That's kind of your lesser objective. Now, a lot of cards in this expansion are actually just similar to the cards we saw from the Gowron expansion. They're the same cards, but then there are many cards that bring some kind of new and interesting abilities to this faction. For instance, you've got like a Disruptor Bombardment, and this allows you to pick one mission board, and you can essentially roll an attack against everybody in there. Their ship is actually firing on the ship you're in, and it is going to wipe out friend or foe, whomever it hits. You've also got some conspiracy cards. You've got new weapons cards. You've got a lot of other new things involved with the cards that this faction brings to your game of Star Trek Away Missions. So I enjoyed this expansion. This is another fun one. There's some overlap here with the Gowron expansion, but there's enough that's unique to these characters and the way they play and they interact with their cards, particularly those treachery cards and those treachery keywords that pop up. There's just some other fun and interesting things that the Duras sisters and their allies here can do with this faction. I really enjoyed it. Again, I will mention my caveat from my previous reviews of these factions. They don't come with their own set of dice. You need to buy those dice independently. The good news is if you get them for the Gowron expansion, you've got them for this one. But just be aware of that. If you want the kind of thematic appropriate dice, that is something that is sold separately. It does not come with the faction. Aside from that, have a ton of fun with this set. I think the Duras sisters are a great addition. I'd like to see some more and different species appear, perhaps some of the lesser species. I'd love to see a Ferengi expansion. I think that would be freaking awesome. But we'll see what comes in the future. So, recommendation for the discriminating gamer for the Star Trek Away Missions, the House of Duras Klingon expansion is buy it. Well, thank you once again for joining us on The Discriminating Gamer. As always, we ask you to please leave a comment for us on YouTube, on Board Game Geek, on our Facebook page, or on thediscriminatinggamer.com. We'd ask you to please like us on Facebook, subscribe to us on YouTube, and follow us on Twitter. I'd also ask you to check out my other channel, that is Cody Carlson PhD, where we talk about military history, books on history. I post some of my lectures on there. I would ask you to please check that out. Please subscribe. That would mean a lot to me. Also, we'd ask you to leave a thumb to this video on Board Game Geek. Now, if you are a fan of the channel and you like the content we bring you here, we would humbly ask you to go ahead and click on the Super Thanks button on this YouTube page and leave a tip. You know, it's like my old Klingon hairdresser used to say, it's a good day to die.
Please somebody help me on my feet again. And I don't know where I'm going, and I don't know where I've been. Please somebody help me on the solid ground. It's a long time, and I'll be dying. Once a year I wind up in the band.
I just prefer problems that I can shoot space torpedoes at.
I'm gonna get the space wrench out and fix these space engines in no time flat.
Okay, in the meantime, I'm just gonna read the space newspaper.
Okay, if you get cold, you can just turn on the space heater.